Joined by John Feinstein, who still holds a couple of jobs, Washington Post columnist, best-selling author. I want to switch over to the Astros thing. So nobody on the planet thinks that the Astros handled this well. How would John Feinstein have handled it if he was PR director or if he was speaking in front of the media yesterday?
Well, there's only so much you can do as if I were the PR director. If I were the owner, I would offer to give back the trophy. Now, clearly Jim Crane ain't going there. I mean, at one point he said it didn't affect the results yesterday, and then took that back about a minute later and said, I'm not responsible. You know what? You're the owner, and you hired the guys who put this in place. Then you're responsible. You certainly have to take some responsibility. But if I'd been advising the team, I would have said, don't work off of scripts. You know, I wouldn't have had people reading at the press conference like everybody did. I mean, Dusty was the one guy who could say whatever he wanted because he wasn't involved. But I would have just said, tell the truth. You know, and every guy used the word remorse. So and nobody used the word cheating. It was all clearly rehearsed. That was what I think why people reacted so negatively to it. But this also goes back to MLB. Not saying we're not going to punish any players, and we're not going to take away their World Series title. Now, people will say, and I get this, that taking away the title is meaningless, and to some degree, it is. Yep. You know, it's like when the NCAA vacates Final Fours because teams have cheated. Louisville fans will still tell you they won a national championship in 2013, even though they've been vacated. But it makes it part of history. So that when you write about the Astros winning the World Series in 2017, you'd have to write, and the title was taken away because they cheated. Yeah. But now Rob Manfred is allowing them to keep the title. I blame a lot of this on Manfred. I think he's been a terrible commissioner on just about everything. And this is another example.
John, and I said this earlier when we were talking about it, I think part of the reason why the guys are coming off so poorly is because this is just the tip of the iceberg, and they don't want to admit to everything. And you're in a tough spot.
We didn't do it in 2018 or 2019. Well, my next question would be, why not? Why not?
Why would you stop?
Well, we had a crisis of conscience. Right. Okay, then why didn't you turn yourselves in for 2017? That's. I think you're right on the tip of the iceberg, but I'd go a step further and say it's also because they're still lying.
Yeah, that's my point.
Well, see, that's
they're still covering up. They're still covering up.
As long as the cover-up goes on, it's the old cliche, the cover-up's always worse than the crime. And they're still covering up, and the more they cover up, the longer. Because sooner or later it's going to come out. Somebody's going to say, yeah, we cheated in 2018. Somebody's going to get traded or whatever, or even 2019. I mean, you saw the comments from Suzuki about the World Series last year. But there's no question this is the tip of the iceberg.
Yeah, and I can't get it out of my head. Altuve, after hitting a walk-off to win the pennant,
didn't want anybody to pull the shirt off.
Rounding third, and I can't get that visual out of my head because he doesn't want anybody to pull the shirt off.
Right.
And then he sprints to the dugout to change.
I mean, there's just no explanation.
His agent says it's because he's shy.
Yeah, that's the
dumbest thing I've ever heard. You ever meet a professional athlete who's shy that way?
No.
I haven't.
Yeah, the reason. Listen. It's like when Tiger was, caught by Elin. You think he admitted to 20 affairs? He probably admitted to one, and then two. You know what I mean? You don't admit to all of it, right?
Right. And I mean, right. You're right. And she caught him that night because she heard him talking to one of them on his telephone, on his cell phone, or found it recording or whatever. And I remember even like a couple weeks later when I was still doing Tony Kornheiser's show, and they played the tape, and Tony said, "Yeah, but are we sure that's Tiger?" And I said, "If you're Tony and I'm John, that's Tiger." Yeah. I mean, it was so obvious. And, there are people to this day who say, well, why bring that up? That's part of his personal life. Because he's a public figure. And it happened in public. This is totally different. This is cheating the game, not cheating on your wife. He was cheating. These guys were cheating the game. And it wasn't just one guy.
Right.
It was massive. Yeah. And it's a scandal, and MLB is trying to downplay it as much as they can, and they're not going to be able to.